Okay. Hi students, I hope you are all doing well. Welcome to another Hi students, I hope you are doing well. Welcome to another lesson for CIC 2601, which is computer integration in the classroom. We are still on learning unit 2 that is titled the support with the integration of ICTs in the classroom activities. The main topic that we are looking at today is ICT theory used to illustrate the various roles. If you can remember, on the last lesson, we did the role players and their responsibilities, whereby we looked at the community, the government, the teachers and the learners, all those stakeholders, and how do they integrate ICTs in the classroom, and they all have got a responsibility on the implementation of integration of ICTs in the classroom. So today's lesson, as you all know, it is presented by me, Mrs. Zandi Litodit. Today's lesson's motivation is never stop learning because life never stops teaching. So this is just loud and clear. We shouldn't stop learning because the life we are in, it never stops teaching us each and every day. We're still on the same learning objectives for learning unit 2, which is identifying the various role players for effective integration of ICTs in classroom activities, discussing how the implementation of roles is done and how supportive role players are in the use of ICTs in the school context, and then lastly, it is justifying the roles by ICT theory, for example, the activity theory, which is something that we are going to look at now. And then the first one, the ICT theory, this is the activity theory, but it has been divided up to different contexts, up to 3. So we are firstly going to look at the Vygotsky's triangle of mediated action. And then secondly, we are going to use Engestrom's expansion of the mediated triangle. So this is the triangle that has been expanded from Vygotsky's triangle. And then lastly, it is going to be the activity system within the broader context. So firstly, the Vygotsky's triangle of mediated action. So this triangle was introduced by Mr. Vygotsky in 1978. So we created this triangle of mediated action to show us or to stipulate us how does it work from the subject to the object and using the mediating tool in order to achieve the outcome. So the idea of the activity theory is grounded in social historical theories and draws heavily on Vygotsky's concept of mediation. The triangle shows the interaction between the subject, the object, and the mediating tool. The red arrow, just that the outcome is on top, but it should be on the end of the red arrow. So the subject is the person carrying out the activity, which in this case, it is the teacher. The subject is the teacher, the person carrying out the activity. And then the object is that towards which the activity is directed to. So in this case, the object is going to be the learner, because that is where the activity that is being carried out by the teacher is subjected or is directed to. And then the tools or the mediators are the means whereby the activity is achieved or accomplished. And then we have the mediating tool, which can be the computers, the projectors, or anything that will assist or aid the teacher to achieve the outcome or to portray the activity in a well manner that the object understands the activity and produces the good outcome on where the object is actually passing the subject. And then we have Engstrom, who then expanded on the mediated triangle, whereby Engelstrom expanded the triangle of mediated action and then he added 3 elements to the original triangle. So these 3 elements that he added, remember on this one we had the subject, the object, the mediating tool producing the outcome. The subject is the teacher, the object is the learner. So with Engelstrom, he added community, rules, and the division of labor. Those are the things that Engelstrom actually added. And then the expanded triangle is shown, as you can see. A community consists of people who share the same goal. Can be the teachers, the learners, ICT support, as well as the parents. They are all sharing the same goal of producing good results at the end. And then we have the division of labor, which represents the way in which tasks are divided between members of the community, and the more subtle but crucially important division and allocations of status and power. So each and everyone, as we looked at the previous lesson, each and everyone has got their role as the role player. The teacher has got its own role, the learner has got its own role, the community parents, the government has got its own role. So as they are taking out their roles or as they are taking out their responsibilities, there is division of labor. As you know that the role of a teacher is to implement ICTs in the classroom. So that's the role of the teacher, and that's the actual labor that the teacher is supposed to do. So in all, the community and the teacher and the use of ICT tools and application in a classroom, they produce increased learning. So everything that is taking place here, at the end, the outcome that we need, it is increased learning, which will give us better results at the end of the day. So that's specifically what this Engelstrom expansion of mediated triangle is, which has been expanded from Vygotsky's triangle, whereby he looked at the subject using mediating tools in order to teach the object, and then we have the outcome of which is the same, that is increased learning. However, here we have teachers, learners, all having their different roles, and we have division of labor. We have parents, we have the community, which also involves the government, the departmental heads, everyone using the ICT tools and application in the classroom, which gives us learners who are becoming better and also giving us increased learning. And then to further explain the activity theory, two authors, Hassan and Kazlak, say that the activity theory describes who is doing what, why, and how. So this theory, it's a division of labor, and everyone has got his or her own activity that they're supposed to do. However, they are all working together in the integration of tools or mediating artifacts in order to produce better results. So, in addition, Hartman says the activity theory includes a group of people or a community sharing a common goal to change the object. This is very important because each and everyone can be the parent, can be the head of department, can be the SMT, the teacher. Everyone is carrying the same role in order for the object. Remember, the object is the learner. That the learner produces good outcomes at the end of the day. So, in order for the learner to be able to produce good outcomes at the end of the day, everyone should do their activity to the best of their abilities in order to be able to use the tools the mediating tool or the mediating artifact effectively for the object to be able to understand the subject, that activity that has been given to them, and therefore be able to produce good results. And then different education stakeholders in the activity theory work together as a team to achieve this intended goal. Everyone has got a common goal, which is to change the object, change the learner to be a better person. However, there's no one who, as we are being trained as teachers, I don't think there's anyone here who would think that who want a learner to become a criminal. Yes, a criminal or a murderer. Like there's no one. Everything that we are doing in class, we have the common goal of which we are changing the subject to become better and also increase learning of the learners, which is the objects in this case. I hope it makes sense. And then identifying the components. To understand the activity theory, you need to consider its components and the interaction between them. So all these are the components of the activity theory: division of labor, the rules, the community, the role players, the subject, which is the teacher, the tools, which is the computers or textbooks or anything that's going to assist the object, which is the learner in this case. So within the context of integrating ICTs in the classroom, these components are according to Karasavid's, and they are elaborated in the next slides. So, as I've just mentioned, components according to Karasavid's is that the first component, which are the tools, those are the equipment or resources that could be used to enhance teaching and learning. As I've just mentioned, it can be your computers, it can be your whiteboards, it can be your smartboards, it can be projectors, anything that could be used to enhance teaching and learning. And nowadays we even have coding and robotics. So robotics are then used in order to be able to enhance teaching and learning in the classroom and make sure that the learners are supported in a way that they are able to understand the content that is being taught to them by being portrayed by a robot or by creating things that are actually representing what is being taught to them. For example, if you are teaching natural science, you can use natural science cells. I think you can maybe use the Legos in order to be able to for the learners to be able to understand the cells that are found in between the plants or whatever the case might be. And also with the resources, it's not only the educational resources, but we have unplugged coding, whereby we are using the things that are available to us. When some of you are doing teaching practice, when you are teaching maths, some of the tools that we're using there to assist your teaching and learning was the bottle caps. So grade 5, I think it was a grade 5 class whereby this teacher used bottle caps. So that's a resource as well. It is used to enhance teaching and learning. And then the next one is the subject. The subject may be regarded as a teacher or a facilitator who should ensure the achievement of the set outcome. The teacher is there to facilitate everything and then ensure that there is achievement of the set outcomes, which is using the tools so that the object could eventually pass the subject. And then the object may be regarded as a learner who's supposed to be offered learning. As I've just mentioned, the object is the learner that is receiving everything from the various role players. And then opportunities for the products are supposed to be achieved. Remember, each and everyone here, they have the same common goal, which is changing the subject and improving the learning outcomes. The rules embrace laws that can be used to stay focused on how to achieve the learning outcomes. And the community includes all the stakeholders who are participating in the process. Community, it's all the stakeholders that can be your ICT specialists, your government, the SMT, the departmental heads, everyone, teachers, learners, all the stakeholders that are participating in the process of changing the object to become a better person. And then lastly, labor is divided among all the stakeholders who have a role to play in the schooling of learners. So each and every stakeholder, or each and every person, or each and every member in the community has got the labor that they're supposed to do, or they have a role that they're supposed to do. Therefore, the labor is divided amongst all of them. When we looked at role players on the previous lesson, we specified the responsibilities of each and every role player, what they're supposed to do in the schooling of learners. Therefore, division of labor, that's where it comes there, that amongst every stakeholder, the labor is divided amongst all of them. And then application of the activity theory to ICT integration in teaching and learning. So in the example of integrating ICT in education, the subject is the teacher, object is the learner, and there is performance at the end of the day. And then the mediating tools are available those are the available ICT tools in the school. Remember, when you're speaking about ICT, we are not only speaking about computers, we are speaking about anything that is technological that can be used in the classroom to enhance teaching and learning. The rules include the responsibility of the users of ICT, government, school, and the classroom. And then examples of community include all education stakeholders, as I've just mentioned. I've been repeating them now and again. Teachers, school management, ICT, and parents. And then finally, the division of labor, as I've just mentioned, the roles of each and every stakeholder that they play in order to be able to achieve the common goal. So basically, the activity theory is based on the rules, the subjects, the objects, the mediating tool, division of labor, as well as the community. So all these things need to be available in order for us to be able to integrate ICTs in education. And then activity system within the broader context. When implementing ICT in your classroom, the activity system of a classroom forms part of the biggest activity system that has an influence on the implementation of ICT in a classroom environment. For example, the Minister of Education can decide on the specific ICT resources that teachers could use, and then the policies can be enforced by the National Education Department that force teachers to participate in the use of ICTs in teaching and learning. You'll see once you get to the school settings, there are always trainings that teachers need to attend or need to be trained in order to be able to use these ICTs in the classroom. And then different layers of education stakeholders are expected to work together to achieve effective implementations of ICTs in teaching and learning. As you can see on this diagram, we have on top, we have the different stakeholders, and then underneath as you can see, it's sort of like a circle. So the classroom responsibility, its curriculum assessment, layout of the classroom, timetables, and then we have the school. The school is the types of school, location, ICT facilities, types of students, parents, equipment, teachers, workload. And then the Provincial Department of Education deals with ICT planning, budgets, ICT curriculum, ICT training, setting of standards. And then the Minister of Basic Education, the role of that is the examination boards, education policies, employing and training of teachers. So that's how everything is divided. Sorry, in the activity system. And then in conclusion, the focus of this lesson was on the role players played by supporting self-learners and educators within their effective use of ICTs for learning. There are, on the Moodle page, there are links to articles, websites, and YouTube videos which are provided to expose you to information relating to the topics. Various role players are involved before, after, and during the integration of ICT in education. Remember, they plan and then they do, or they implement, and then after, they need to check whether the implementation worked or not. So each role player has different responsibilities. Depending on the function or activity, the roles of the stakeholders can change. So while integrating ICT, support is also provided through the process, and the lack of support can have an impact on the success of such implementation. So in conclusion, the activity theory was explored to get a clear picture of a framework that can assist in planning, identifying role players, and implementing ICT in the classroom. The components, how they interlink, and the role players they play were further investigated. It was mentioned that an activity system does not exist in isolation, and it is interdependent on the other systems. That's it from my side. Thank you for taking your time to listen to this lesson. I thank you.